What historical event has not, but should be, made into a movie? The story of the Pan Am flight that got caught in New Zealand at the start of WWII and couldn't fly back home by going east because it was too dangerous. So instead they took their flying boat and flew west on routes they had to figure out from maps, pulled from borrowed encyclopedias, dodging the Japanese, and trying to find enough fuel to keep the plane going. The whole thing took months, culminating in taking off from a river in the Congo and having to skim along through a canyon to build up speed, since they were too heavy in order to even have a chance of crossing the Atlantic. The whole thing is tailor-made for TV or a film. There's a fantastic book written about the whole story called The Long Way Home, and was written with the captain of the flight. That time where nothing never happened in 1989 in Beijing, China. The time John Adams and Benjamin Franklin were in France trying to gather support for the revolution and all the shenanigans they got up to. I need a Coen Brothers movie of the 1904 Olympic Marathon. https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/athletics_it_the_1904 summer_Olympics_% 80% 93 men 27s_marathon WPROV equals SFLA1. Every sentence just keeps getting more bonkers. Syndrome K. In 1943, a hospital in Rome located next to a Jewish ghetto let Jews fleeing Nazi raids hide there. The professors in charge admitted Jews under the fake diagnosis of Syndrome K, described as a highly contagious and dangerous disease. This successfully kept the Nazis out of the quarantine wards and the Jews safe for the duration of the war. Robert Smalls. A black slave that stole a Confederate transport ship, freed the slaves aboard, and sailed it to the Union to be converted into a warship. Oh, and then he became a congressman in South Carolina. The Lioness of Brittany, medieval woman who led brutal attacks by land and sea against the French king in vengeance for the execution of her husband. https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/gene_d_clisson. Not really history, but retelling the epic of Gilgamesh on the silver screen would be awesome. A biopic on Hannibal would be really good. The visuals of crossing the Alps with elephants would be stunning. The construction of the pyramids in Egypt, either Snefru who built 3 pyramids during his lifetime or his son Khufu who built the Great Pyramid. Anything related to Mesopotamia, like the rise of the Akkadian Empire or Babylon. I can't recall any historical movie at all set in that location. Epaminondas and the Theban hegemony. The conflict between Gaius Marius, Julius Caesar's uncle, and Sulla. Mithridates. The crisis of the 3rd century in the Roman century, which broke the empire in 3 states. The Battle of Las Navas de Tolosa in the 13th century, a coalition of Spanish kings led by Richard the Lionheart's brother-in-law, defeated the radical Almohads, which basically was the turning point of the Reconquista. Defense of Cartagena de Indias by Admiral Blas de Lezo in the 18th century. https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/zing_ye_sao. How about the greatest pirate in history? Besides the Napoleonic era, I feel 19th century France has a lot of potential for historical movies due to how much stuff happened during that time period. If I had to pick one event in particular, it'd be between the birth of the Second Republic to the Second Empire. The Battle of Carcelita. One of the final battles of WWII, which involves a US tank division teaming up with Austrian resistance fighters, a German army major and a high-ranking member of the SS, to protect and free high-ranking French prisoner from loyal Nazis in a medieval Austrian castle. Seriously, it sounds like a random alt history DLC from a Call of Duty game, but it actually happened. I know we have like 8 million WW2 movies, but how this hasn't been made yet still boggles my mind. Unless it's covered in the various movies about Lincoln, John Wilkes Booth's 12 Days on the Run are really damn interesting in my opinion. I was about to say The Life of Thomas Cochrane, but looking it up, there's a movie starring Russell Crowe inspired by it. It's called Master and Commander. He basically was the craziest ship captain that ever lived. I always thought a big budget telling of the Donner Party would be pretty good. Not that low budget version from 10 years ago. I want epic. Apollo 8. Basically the mission was originally only supposed to be a test of the lunar module in Earth orbit. But rumors were circulating that the Soviet Union were going to attempt to send a man into lunar orbit. Spoiler, this was not happening. As a result, Apollo 8 was switched to being the first mission to the moon, not to land but to orbit. And this decision was made only *6 months before the scheduled launch date, so it was a race to get everything ready before the flight. It's a historic mission that is almost never talked about, compared with Apollo 11, which is much more well known. Mireya Oktyabrskaya sold everything she had to buy a tank and kill Nazis after they killed her husband. If that's not a baller move worthy of a movie, I don't know what is. Battle of Jutland could use a modern movie depiction. Massive battle, day and night, high drama, tension, massive explosions. What more could you ask for? Nice try, Netflix content producers. You can't fool me into giving you a whole bunch of free ideas. Oh, wait. I'd actually want most of these to be made. As you were. The Niihau incident, https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/Niihau_incident. During the attack on Pearl Harbor, a Japanese Zero was damaged by anti-aircraft fire and crash-landed on the remote Hawaiian island of Niihau. The Hawaiians, initially unaware of the attack on Pearl Harbor, treated the pilot with generosity and respect. After news of the attack came out, the pilot was placed under guard. With the help of some sympathetic locals, the pilot broke out and took 2 hostages, Ben Kanahal and his wife Ella. Later that night, Ben and Ella decided to fight their way out. Ben was shot 3 times, but still had enough strength to lift the pilot over his head and throw him into a brick wall. Ella, thinking her husband had been mortally wounded, killed the pilot by bashing his head in with a rock. Both Ben and Ella survived the incident, and Ben was awarded 2 medals for his actions. Ella, who actually killed the enemy combatant, received no formal recognition. Oops, this was made into a movie, Enemy Within 2019.